This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This table is really tilted.
Excuse me? Am I gonna get a chance to speak?
Maybe I should take that back.
Denied. Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Take a giant step for mankind.
Welcome to the Tilted Table with your hosts, Sean and Joe.
Facts. Folks, welcome to the Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I am Sean Landon Clark.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
And this episode is special because we're actually drinking. Cheers.
Hey, cheers.
Come on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're drinking while we do a podcast. Why are we doing that? Well, because we are going to be talking about Las Vegas stories. And of course, if you talk about Las Vegas stories, it's usually going to involve drinking.
Our Las Vegas stories.
Yeah, at least our Las Vegas experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And this worries me a little bit because I've got stories that I simply don't really want to put out there because I've done some shit I probably am not proud of.
Yes.
You know, so, but the one episode that we did where I talked openly about some of my drug use, and a lot of that stuff happened in Vegas. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to hide at this point, right?
Well, I think the good thing is, a lot of my stories are from once upon a time, and not that I'm older and wiser per se, but I maybe have a different perspective. So when Cookie and I go to Vegas, we still have an amazing time.
Sure.
But I'm not trying to get pulled out of a club on a stretcher at the end of the evening.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, we go to Vegas every year to do March Madness, and I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast.
Only just briefly.
Okay. So basically what we do is we go to March Madness, and we usually bet on the long shot teams.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really watch college basketball. So me and a group of friends of mine, we do this, and we just bet on the long shots. We don't really watch the game, and we hang out at the sports book. We get drunk, drinking beers, cheering random teams to win. And so that's kind of the shtick that we do. And obviously we do other stuff beyond that, but that's the primary reason to go there. Mm-hmm. And the idea is put $100 on a couple of long shots, and one hits, and you can make quite a bit of, money. And it's just a goof. It's just fun. But the thing is when you're in the sports book and you're betting on basketball during March Madness, I mean, there's a huge crowd, at the casinos, and they're all about this. And there's people that are going there that are, I guess they consider themselves, experts or whatever. They watch the game and they're putting these bets down or those bets down, and they're laughing at us like, well, why would you bet on Yale? They're the 16th seed. It's like, well, I'm going to bet on every long shot because one of these motherfuckers is going to hit. I don't know which one, and I don't care, right? And it's fun to watch the games and cheer on, these teams. But yeah, when people find out, it's the last time I went, it was a Yale. I think they were the 15th seed.
I didn't even know Yale had a basketball team.
Yes, they do, and they were playing who knows who. Again, this is how disconnected I am to it. So I bet on them, and they ended up winning the game. But when it placed a bet, and the game's going on, we're cheering on Yale, and this dude is like, "Oh man, did you go to Yale?" And I started laughing, going man, I fucking wish I went to Yale, right?
I did a stint in community college.
Right, I'm right. And so just I told him well, we don't watch college basketball. We just bet on, the long shots. The look of disdain on his face, why are you here? This is where big boys play. And your asshole just come in here and just well, I don't know, Yale. And just throw out money. And I don't think he really understood why we were doing it. It's a goof. I didn't really explain it to him. At the same time, I took you're taking this way too seriously.
Yeah, it doesn't
because
matter.
Anybody that's a professional gambler, outside of a very small percentage of people, are usually very poor, very broke, and very depressed. So I'd rather be me, not knowing what the fuck I'm doing, versus you that apparently knows way too much.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, and it's just entertainment.
Yeah.
And those people that make it a business, I think, kind of suck the life out of, what you're there for.
Sure.
Is all the laughs and the shenanigans and the memories, and you're really more focused on the money.
And I think the other thing is with that kind of situation is ultimately that people really put a lot of staking into gambling if they do a lot of it, and that's because they've lost so much of, I'm sure over the time they've lost so much money that this is very serious to them. So to have someone like me walk in and go I don't know, Yale, right? Like so, like Yale's mascot's a bulldog. Like if
Is
they're
it? Really?
Yeah. So if they're playing like let's say
I figured it would be like an engineering slide rule or something.
No,
like that.
no, they're not. They're the Bulldogs of Yale. And so like if they're playing like I don't know Louisville, the Cardinals or something, and I'm sitting there going like, well, a bulldog would totally kill a bird, so I'm gonna bet on Yale. Like that's how those guys see me, right? But they don't get the goof. But again, maybe even if they understand the goof, they take it as disrespectful. Like I'm treating what they do as being stupid. But the reality of it is what you do is actually very stupid. Invest your money in stocks, invest your money in real estate. Don't put it on, the number one seed in the March Madness and think that your bracket's perfect and you're going to be a billionaire when you leave here. You're not. You're going to be broke. That's what's going to happen to you.
It's the American dream.
Yeah. I mean, most people are actually pretty cool, but, I've had a couple of run-ins with people when, you're in that pit and everyone's got their tickets and they're watching all these games. They take this stuff very seriously. Yeah, and so we're going back again in March, and we've got our tickets. Everything's booked. We're ready to go.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. And I don't know who's going to be in March Madness. Again, I don't watch college basketball, but if it's like, I don't know, Hollywood Upstairs College playing in the 16th seed, whoever, man, I'm in. I'm betting on them.
Right. Well, I'm trying to think. What's the I'm totally pulling a blank here, but what's the Bradley Cooper, The Hangover? So I have a quasi hangover story, and I'll kind of fast forward through a couple different parts. That way I'm going to plead the fifth in certain areas. But the year was 2000, and so I'm in college, and my best friend in college, one of the smartest people I've ever met, he started working for NASA when he was 16 years old, like genius level smart.
Okay.
And he was a year ahead of me in school. And he left, graduated and left, and he went to work for, it's called Sony Music Bank, which was the immediate precursor to iTunes.
Okay.
So Sony Music had this whole download deal going on, and at that time you're still working off of like 56K modem, so it was very cutting edge. And I remember he called me and was like, "Hey man, let's go to Vegas for the weekend, and Sony's going to have the Music Bank launch party at the Orpheum. So we'll go to Vegas, we'll hang out for 2 days, we'll take a flight back, and we'll do the launch party." And I'm a poor college student. I'm getting by on student loans and grants. Like, I don't have money for this. I'd never been to Vegas in my life. So fast forward. Here's where I think the fun part goes. I'd basically been awake for 48 hours, and I was ran ragged as we land back into San Francisco. And my buddy, he was flush with IPO cash at the time, and so he was paying for everything. We're experiencing, things I'd only seen about in movies. So we get to the launch party, and Sony had rented out the Orpheum Theater, and I didn't even know what the Orpheum Theater was at that time. So we walk in, I'm like, "This is amazing," and he's like, "You'll never guess who the musical guest tonight's going to be." And I'm going to say it was like 200, maybe 300 people. And he says, "It's James Brown. Do you want to go meet James Brown?" And again, I've been up for 2 days. I'm like,
Well, so is James Brown. He's been up for 30 years.
Oh, bro. We hit the bar, and I'm 21 years old. We go back up the stairs of the backstage area. There's these really heavy curtains, and he's like, "All right, man, he's back here." My buddy pulls back the curtains, and there's like basically a dining room table, and there is a pile of blow on the table. That was, there's that famous scene in Scarface where there's like the mountain of snow, right? I think it was bigger than that. And James Brown is face down in this white pile, and he just goes, "Wow. I feel good." and I'm standing, my buddy and I are standing there like peeking through the curtains. Well, not peeking through, we're standing right there, but again, I'm in my own like altered state of being, and thinking about how weird has my life gotten that I'm here. I was, just a couple hours ago, I'm raging in Vegas in these different places, and now I'm standing here with James Brown, and his face is like full of white powder.
Where the day takes you.
Yes. So the very first thing, whenever anybody's like, "Hey, what was your first time to Vegas?" I'm like, I remember it was like it was just like The Hangover, living in life and fast forward, but it ended with James Brown, and then I blacked out and I don't remember anything.
That's
after that.
awesome. I mean, to be honest with you, anything can happen in Vegas, and there's celebrities that are in Vegas all the time. So these kinds of stories can happen, but it's got to be kind of surreal to think that you wake up on a random morning and within 12 to 14 hours, you're watching James Brown snort a bunch of cocaine in a room.
It wasn't even snorting. It was more like just face planting.
Face planting
and inhaling.
Oh my God. It's like, yeah, you weren't expecting that, right? There's no way that you would have been able to calculate, like, by the end of this evening, I expect to be hanging with James Brown and a pile of cocaine, right? No, it's not going to happen.
So it was funny as we were, as I was taking notes for today's episodes, I'm thinking, well, again, a lot of these shenanigans were many moons ago.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd say another, it's that old saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yes.
But you just live with it forever.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but you will live with it forever.
Yeah, it'll probably be imprinted on your brain. So my brother and my sister-in-law got married in Vegas, and they got there. It was the classic travel story, right? Your plane's delayed. You're supposed to be at the dinner at 6. Your flight was supposed to land at a certain time. Delay. You get there at 9 o'clock. Everybody's been raging for a couple hours. And then, even though you know better, you play the infamous game of, I'm using my quote fingers here, catch up. Right, so the server or the bartender will come over and say, what are you guys drinking? Instead of saying, I'll have a X, whatever that is, you'll say, get me 4 doubles, and I'm going to catch up.
Oh yeah, I've done this.
It's the game of catch up. It never ends well. It's one of those things that even now, like I think they've been married 18 years. I still remember the beginning of the night. I still have a great picture on my phone saved of the 4 of us. I don't remember about 2 hours into the night because that, hey, get me, 4 doubles or whatever nonsense it was that I was doing.
Yeah, there's I don't know, it's a myth or I don't know how it works, but if somebody's had 4 drinks and they say they've done it over the span of like maybe 3 hours,
right.
2.5 3 hours,
right.
And then you're like, well, you've already had 4. I'm going to have 4 in the span of 5 minutes, and that makes me just where you are.
Exactly.
No, that doesn't work that way. The math isn't mathing. Yeah.
That's that urban legend.
Right, and then you end up underneath, like a table somewhere, right? Yeah, by the end of the evening.
Dragged out of the club by your ankles is what it is. And I think that's exactly what happened that night. I remember vaguely someone dragging me out of the nightclub. Don't remember getting back to the hotel, and I'm surprised Bellagio never sent a bill for the cleanup.
Oh God, did you get sick?
It was a bad scene, man.
Oh my God!
Showing up, and I felt terrible because the best thing to do in those deals is basically like get your board and try and ride the wave again. Hair of the dog in the morning,
yeah.
But that never sounds good. Right. It's like, someone says like, repeat in moderation what you were doing last night.
That's never worked for me. I did hair of the dog once and I got sick as shit.
Oh man. So that's probably my go-to these days whenever I you do have fun in those instances. But yeah, that next day was rough. I had to apologize for not being my normal happy self on the wedding day. I think I was a little pasty in those pictures.
Oh, I'd love to see those photos. I bet you just look so drawn out, like zombie tech.
Oh, hey, I'll show them to you later.
It's like, hey, can you change the filter? I look really white. He's like, no, that's the dark filter.
That's the film noir.
If I actually use the regular filter, you look like an albino.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've got stories, and I'm going to change a lot of names, and I'm just going to put myself out there. I really don't care. I'm drinking right now. Right?
Yeah.
This is we have to drink to do this episode because I'm definitely on the fence. Like, well, I don't want to talk about all this stuff because again, like you said, many moons ago we did some crazy shit. So I'm gonna throw one out there. So I went out to Vegas with a friend of mine, and I'll tell you the story behind why we went out. So his name is Marcus. We'll go with Marcus.
Sounds good,
right? That's totally not his name, right? No, not. So anyways, he graduates college, and I'm a little older than this cat, right? So I'm about 10 years older than him. So I'm well deep into a career, and I'm doing my thing. So he gets a job in Los Angeles that suddenly transforms him from working like basically minimum wage to making well into six figures. And so he wants to celebrate. And we try to get all of our buddies to go out. Nobody wants to go out. Everyone is like, I'm not going to Vegas. They got too much shit going on. People are just bailing, right? So it just boils down to me. And he's like, let's go. So me and him solo, but me and him just with not the crowd of friends that we have. So we go to Vegas. And so the first night, he says to me, he's like, you know what? I need to buy some like clothes and some stuff. I'm going to this high powered job in LA. I got to look nice. I'm like, yeah. And this is after about 3 or 4 beers into it. So we're just starting to buzz a little bit. And so he's just like, let's go hit up these shops. So we start going.
And where are you at?
So we're at the Wynn. Okay. So we stay at a nice hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey.
So we hit. The first thing is I have at that time in my life I had a few Movado watches. Now Movado is my brand. I love Movado, and it's considered, I think, pretty much kind of a luxury watch, but they're not stupid expensive. You can buy a Movado, brand new, a nice Movado for about $400 or $500, but they can get into the $2,000 or $3,000 range, right? So I love Movado, and he points at my watch. He goes, I need to get a really nice watch. So I said, there's a Rolex store up in this bitch. So let's go to the Rolex store, right? So we go to the Rolex store, and he's looking around, and he's talking to him. And again, this guy is somebody that is now just starting to get paid like a lot of money. And we're drinking. So, and
is it a side note? Does he know anything about watches at this point?
No, he doesn't know shit. So he's talking to the whoever associate, and I'm looking around, and I start looking at a bunch of Rolexes, and I came close to buying one. First thing I said, what is your cheapest Rolex? And it's the Oyster Perpetual. And I'm like, what's that? And it looks like a basic. It's a nice watch. It's a basic, but I think it's like $5,000 or $6,000, right? And I'm just like, ew, right? So, but they offer us. Do you want something to drink? Coffee? Water?
Alcohol?
And I just blurted out. I said, "You got beer?" And like, yeah, if you want a beer. And so I'm sitting in Rolex drinking a beer, and then he sees me. He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, and I want one of those." So he starts drinking, and I'm realizing, obviously, in hindsight, we'll make purchases
100%,
right?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm drinking, and I'm just looking at these watches. I almost bought an Oyster Perpetual, and again, you couldn't have got me to buy another Rolex because I got money, but there's a point to this where it's like I'm not gonna buy $10,000 on a fucking watch, right? And so I almost buy a watch. The woman's kind of talking to me. There's this really nice Oyster. It's a red colored one. It's so sweet. And I'm just like, I don't know. And I turn around, and my buddy Marcus has got his watch on his wrist. And I don't know. I can't remember what line it was, but it was gold. And he's just like, hey, Sean, I got it. And I'm just like, oh, that's nice. $15,000 he dropped on that watch. Right?
Was he happy?
Oh, he was totally happy. So we leave that place.
Did he walk out wearing it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, was he just like walking around looking at his wrist?
Oh, the whole time. So we go to this clothing shop.
Do you know what time it is?
Oh, I knew what time it was. It was definitely his time. It wasn't my time because I walked out with my Movado. That's all I had. We bust out of that place, and we go down, and there's a clothing shop, and it's got like suits. Just super nice. And I can't remember the name of it. And I need a suit. And we go in there. Same thing. Like, he's looking around, and I tell him, I'm like, yeah, this dude just got a baller-ass job. Look at the watch he just bought. And I think there's like the sharks are swimming, right? They're like, oh, this guy's ready to go. And we're buzzing, obviously. So, like, you want anything to drink, coffee or water or whatever? And it's like, you got booze? Yeah, we can get you something. And, yeah, get a drink. And so he's looking at all these suits. And I swear to God, they like 3 guys surround him, and they got the tape measures.
Ooh, they're ready to go.
Oh, yeah. And they're like, we'll customize everything. And the dude walks up to me, and he's just like, this is awesome. He's like, what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm a teacher. And he's like, oh, cool. And he's just like, are you interested in getting a suit? And I'm just like, no. He's like trying to hook me up. I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I don't need to say. So this is all about him. So Marcus is trying all these suits, right? And I was just like, oh, cool. And, and they're just like, one after another. And, yeah, so he spent, I don't know, at least $7,000
on one suit.
No, on like 2 maybe or 3.
That's about right then.
Yeah. Right.
That's about right.
So, and we're like leaving that place, and I was like, he bet 15 G's on a watch. He's, in for 7 or so.
I love this guy.
Right.
He's living his best life.
Oh, dude, he's loving it. Right?
Welcome to Vegas.
So at this point, we got the suits, and then we hit the shoe store, and he just going through, just customized, like alligator, I guess. I don't know. They python, they're freaking deer skin. I don't know,
Stingray.
just everything, right? And he's just looking at all these shoes. Same thing. You guys want to drink. At this point, I've already told the story. It's like it starts to sort of amplify on itself. It's like he just bought the watch. It's on his wrist. They can see it. He just went to this place and bought suits. Now he don't have the suits because they got the alter him, but he's coming back the next day. And then I'm telling that story, and they're just the sharks are swimming like these shoes, those shoes, and they actually had called the suit store that we were just at because he was like, well, what kind of suit did you get? What was the color? What kind of colors? I think he got 3 suits. And so they want to coordinate with the shoes. Like, oh, you got this one, that one. Oh, because these are good for these, right? So they're doing the whole coordination.
Oh, wow.
thing.
This is great.
And then the alcohol's flowing in. We're getting more drinks. By this point, Joe, we're fucked up. We're absolutely fucked up. I'm having a hard time even functioning because, again, he's the one getting all the attention. I'm standing in the corner, getting my beer in my hand, just like, right? Because I'm not buying any of this stuff. I'm not the guy. And so he buys a couple pairs of shoes, and we're too drunk to take them. He's like, we'll keep them here. You guys are staying at the Wynn. What room you guys in?
We'll just send them.
Right? We'll just send them to your room. And, the suit guys will do the same thing, but you're more likely going to go down back to the shop. You want to try them on and make sure they're okay. But you can have those sent to the room as well. So we leave this place, right? He's lit. I am lit.
Does he still have the watch?
Yes, he still has the watch on his wrist, wearing like an old MTV T-shirt still, like his old white T-shirt on, right? His $15,000 watch and his $30 wardrobe, jeans and T-shirts on, right? So, anyways, he's like, well, now we got to go party. He's just bought a bunch of stuff. At this point, we've been partying though. We're fucked up. So he starts bringing up dude, we got to get some coke. We got to get some coke, right? Because we got to survive the night, right? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know where to get coke in Vegas. But again, inevitably, if you hang out long enough, someone, right? So this is a passing kind of thing where he's like, let's get some coke. And I said, well, let's get some food. So we stop by, I think a Subway or something, and we get a sandwich.
Got to eat fresh.
Just eat something, right? And I said, let's hit the bars. You're on fire. This is a monumental day for you. You got the job. You're going to do all this shit. So we hit up a place, and I swear to God, I don't know the name of it, but it's a big long line. It was a popular club, right? And again, I'm about 10 years older than this cat. So at this point, I'm probably 33, 34-ish. He's 23, 24-ish, right? Okay. So we're standing in line, and he doesn't want to stand in line. He's like, fuck that. And calls the dude over, and he's like, what do we got to do to get in, bypass this line? And he's like, well, if you get bottle service, you can go right in and we got your own table. And he's like, how much is that? And he's like, I think it was $1,000 or something like that. He's like, fuck yeah, $1,000. Just we're in. So we go inside this place. And we got bottle, the cops. We're in an exclusive area. There are a bunch of chicks everywhere, and they're all smoking hot, right? So again, we're just me and him. Right, but there's tables next to us.
And you've been drinking for 7 hours now.
At this point, I would say 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, so you're still, you got your basically your wits about you.
I think we always have our wits about us, but we're really drunk. I've never gotten and I think same with Marcus. He's not a guy that gets fucking wasted and gets crazy. We're drunk though. We're functioning, but we're really drunk. So we're sitting at these tables. We start making friends with the people at the tables next to us because we're there by ourselves. And we meet a bunch of people. Tables kind of just coalesce into one, and everybody's drinking, and we got a bottle of vodka, and somebody orders another bottle of something, and all these drinks are flowing. And it's just these girls all around these tables, and all of them smoke shows, beautiful girls. And I'm not really connecting the fact they're talking to us. And they're some of these girls are what do you call what's the proper word? Ladies of the evening, escorts or whatever, right? I'm hype manning him, the dude just got this job. He's making $250 a year to start. That's just start. He's making $250,000, and we just went there. He's got that damn watch on, he's got that watch, and And so like we're having just a grand old time, right? And I leave. I go downstairs to take a piss, right? And I take a leak. I come back upstairs, and at this point we'd exhausted our bottle, and Marcus is nowhere to be found. So I'm walking around the upstairs area around the VIP, right? The bottle service. I can't find him anywhere, right? I'm like, I don't know where this dude went, right? So I'm like, okay, so he's not here. I don't know. He went back to the hotel room. I'm gonna, go down and I want to get something to eat and get something real quick, like a hot dog or something. I just wanted something, and then I'm gonna head back to the hotel room, and he'll eventually show up to the hotel room, right? So I go down. I hit Nathan's Hot Dogs. I get a hot dog, right? Eat that thing, and I'm walking out of wherever hotel I'm at and whatever club that was at. So I had to walk to my hotel. I'm walking, and this dude rolls up on me, a Mexican dude, and he's like, coquina? And I'm just like, I said, cocaine? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, and I swear to God, it was like some ninja shit. Like it was like super hardcore ninja. He dumps dope on his hand, like he makes a fist and puts it on the little fat area of his hand, like a small line,
right? And
just right in my face. He snort, go, hit it real quick. Shit lights me up.
Wow,
right?
That's
I'm like,
crazy,
whoa.
Dude.
And then he's like,
you're just walking down the street.
Yeah, walking down the street, and he's like, you want something? I'm like, yeah. And it's like, I can't remember, it was like $60. Gives me $60. I give him $60, and he gives me a bag of dope, right? So now I'm lit, and like Marcus has like been bitching about this all night, right? So I go running back to the hotel room, and I try to open the door, and it's locked. So I know he's in there, and I'm like, Marcus, I got some cocaine. I got some cocaine. And he comes running up to the door. He got a towel around his waist. He's all, get the fuck out of here. I got a fucking whore in here. So I went downstairs and I played some gambling or whatever. I played some blackjack or something until he finished with whatever whore he picked up at the club that we were at.
Yeah.
And then I went inside and I'm like, boom, dude, we good to go. And at this point, it's like midnight 1, and it could be later than that for all I know. And I just like, after he had sex and, busted a nut, he's passed out. He's like, I don't want to do anything. He went to bed.
Was he still wearing the watch?
Huh?
Was he still wearing the watch?
He still was wearing the watch, yeah.
See, I figured along your story at some point, you were like, and then I noticed the watch was gone.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Leave a like on the video. I know you're enjoying this. Can you shut up?
The internet's answer to a question that was never asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
No, it was that was just one of our wild. So mine is more wild for him. Not wild for me. I was more of a, kind of a, what do you call it, tag along wingman.
Yeah, you're a peripheral.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of like, where on my very first adventure where I said I got to fast forward through a bunch of this. So I basically played your role on my own adventure.
Right.
Where I got to sit out in the hall and wait and wander around, all that kind of nonsense.
So at least our first two stories exemplifies the fact that it wasn't us that were really doing these kinds of things. It was somebody else that were just, riding along.
Like I say, my buddy had IPO money, and that was early .com boom. And so I'd say another fun, I guess it was two separate adventures to Vegas. I'll just combine them into one quick story. But one of the places, Cookie and I really enjoy artwork, especially from a couple. One gentleman, his name's Peter Lick. I'd classify him as the new Ansel Adams. And we've collected his work for a number of years. And there was this one wall in our little house that we had painted red, and it had to be just the right photo or picture or whatever had to go on this wall. And we got an email on a new release, and usually this artwork sells out like instantaneously. So we got the email, I want to say on a Monday, and we had a flight booked in 48 hours to fly into Vegas specifically to look at this one picture, because you're not going to buy something sight unseen like that.
Right.
We get there, and they knew that we really enjoyed wine. So they had a private viewing room already set aside for us, and there was already bottles chilling. They had extra bottles in case we wanted them in the back. And, you could like dim the lights in the room, pipe in your own music, big fat leather couches. Cookie and I are having a great time. And, next thing we know, we're like 4 bottles deep between the two of us. So not feeling any pain at all. And then they knew that like I'm a big World War II buff. And they said like, well, Joe, we know you like this. Would you be interested in seeing, we got like an old F-16 from a boneyard. Would you like to see that photo in here? And I'm like, that would be outstanding. And so they had people hustle one giant piece out of the room, hustle another piece in, hang it, get the lighting just right. And then we sat there and I'm like, well, that's the second one. What happens if we buy 3? Will you give us a discount on 2? And it's like, at that moment, I knew what they were doing. Like, I'm not feeling any pain. I'm not asking what the numbers might look like. Yeah. I mean, this is years ago, but I still love all of that artwork. It's hanging in the house. And whenever I if I look at it too long, I'll remember that fun story sitting on the fat leather couch. The other story to kind of dovetail into that one, I want to say this was like 2016-ish. Went to Vegas with some friends. And I don't know about you, but I'm a 48-hour person in Vegas. Like go in, go hard, get out, go home, go to bed.
Yeah, 48 hours seems to be the standard. If you stay longer than that, you will be scratching at the airplane door to get the fuck in and get the hell out of there.
Those people that are like, we're gonna go in for a week. I don't want any part of that.
That's a long time.
In, out.
No.
But we're having a great time with these friends. And again, for our version of entertainment, it always revolves around the people that are in our lives, awesome food, awesome cocktails, funny stories, just enjoying the moments that we get to spend together. That is our version of entertainment. And when you're in Vegas and you're not driving, if it's like, hey man, can I get you another cocktail? The answer is yes. I mean, the reason that I'm here is to spend time with you. So fast forward to the end of the night. I remember, Cookie was like, let's go into Louis Vuitton. And I'm like, that sounds cool. And that's where things really start to get kind of hazy. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because the next morning...
You never want to get hazy in a Louis Vuitton.
No.
It seems expensive.
Oh, man. So the funny part is the next morning, I wouldn't call it like waking up. It was more like I regained consciousness. And I could see, like, as I scratched the crusties out of my eyes, I could see, in the gloom of the hotel room, like all of these bags, bags from this place, that place, this place. And I looked at my phone because I'm like, I'm sure the credit card company was going to call and ask if it was stolen. And it was funny because the way that, some of these places will like hot stamp your initials on things. Mm-hmm. And we're very mindful of like because there's different fonts, different colors. And we always make sure that everything is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And this one where my evening started to get really hazy, like that's the one where the font and the colors all jacked up. So we don't use this thing very often, but whenever we do take it out of its box and I see the kind of jacked up initials on it, I'm like, yeah, that was the night. Wow. I don't even remember because you have to approve it, right?
Right, yeah.
They'll say you're going to buy this, you want this color, there's an actual note card you need to initial. I don't remember any of that. So whenever I do, pull this thing out of the box, it always makes me laugh inside. That was as Bob Ross would say, that was a fun, happy mistake.
And I'm assuming a lot of those shops, they make a killing off the fact that
100%
people are drinking and they're making these kinds of decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcus, again, we were loaded. I mean, he would have made the same, I wouldn't say the same. He would have made similar decisions in terms of buying all these things, but it definitely was like, oh yeah, here's more drinks, buy this, buy that. And it was definitely that kind of mode, especially when I'm walking in and I'm like, I was acting like a hype man, where I'm just like, this dude just got this $250,000 a year job. He's killing it. And they're like, oh, he needs suits. He needs shoes. He needs watches or whatever.
He needs pocket squares. He needs matching suspenders.
Yeah, of course.
He needs all the swag. The shoes don't make the suit unless you've got the matching socks.
Of course. All of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My last Vegas story, this is similar to, I guess, the story with Marcus to a certain extent. Well, I don't say it's that similar, but I don't know. I feel like they're all it's all pretty much the same to me. It seems like when you go to Vegas, it get wild. I went with a friend on a bachelor party, and so the first thing that we do as a group. Now we're going from me and Marcus being 2 people now to a crew of like 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that we do is we're going to hit the strip clubs, right? So we haven't been drinking yet. So we hit the strip club. It was a super cool strip club. I don't remember the name of it. It wasn't on the strip. I don't even think there are any strip clubs actually on the strip. There might be. I don't know. But anyways, it was off the strip. And so we go in there. And it's the same kind of situation. If you've ever been in a strip club, you can experience this where the girls will kind of roll up on you. Like, do you want to, dance or whatever, that kind of thing.
How are you doing?
Yeah. And so I have zero interest in strip clubs. Even, in my early years, it wasn't a thing I really cared for that much. And then part of it was I lived with a stripper in my early 20s. I dated strippers.
I didn't know that.
So, that's another story. It's probably more interesting than this Vegas story, for Christ's sakes. So I've kind of, it's just never been a thing to me. It's never turned me on specifically to have a girl, take off her top and pole dance, or just, to give me a lap dance. Not something I'm into. I'm not saying it's not cool, but it's not something I was really into. So we go into this place, and I'm like, it's a bar to me, right? And I'm drinking, and there's a bunch of people around, and my friends are all doing the whole, let's give right? Let's give get the groom a lap dance, and they're doing the whole thing. And a friend of mine, let's see if what name should I give this person? Say his name. Do
something cool like Edwin.
Okay, his name is Edwin. So Edwin is drinking, and he's probably one of the few people that are more into the stripper scene. Because what's happening is they find out that we have this groom, and I'll give this strip club so much credit. They centered out the groom and kind of called it out, and all of us as friends, they were really, really nice to us. I mean, all these girls are coming around us like, oh, it's your friend's, bachelor party, and they wanted to make it memorable. Suddenly everyone has a stripper sitting in their lap, right? And I kind of understand the move. It's kind of a trap move. So a girl sits in your lap and says, hey, what's up? What's going on? And if I say, hey, look, I'm not interested in a lap dance. I don't want any of that. Oh, that's fine. They'll still kind of sit in your lap and kind of hang out and talk. Because hopefully at some point, if you're drinking, and they warm up to you, you warm up to them.
Right.
You'll be willing to go into the VIP room and get a lap dance. So this girl sits in my lap, absolutely gorgeous girl. At this point, I think I was like 31 or 32.
Okay.
So this girl probably was no more than 19, 20, 21. So she was really young. And so she's, we're talking or whatever. And she's with me for, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm asking her, like, actual personal shit, like, where you from? She's like, oh, I'm from Oakland. I'm like, oh, I used to live in Oakland, or that whole thing. And we're having this back and forth. And at one point, as we're talking, and I stop and I say, you realize I'm not going to, you might consider getting off of me. I'm not going to get a lap dance. And she's like, oh, no, that's fine. She goes, I really like talking to you. And I said, so I feel like I have to tip you just because I'm taking up your time. And I said, can I do that? And she's all, of course, the strip club, you can give me money even if I never say one word to you. Right?
Okay.
And if I sit down with you and have a conversation with you, you can tip me for that as well. So I think I gave her like $50, right? Super sweet. And she leaves. My friend Edwin, at this point, we're probably 45 minutes in. The energy is what's the word? Palatable. Like it's super high up, right? I've been drinking myself. So he ends up taking this girl, this kind of really loud Asian girl. She was really pretty, but seemed really aggressive. Like she was just on one. So my assumption was that she looked like she was on drugs. That was my interpretation. And he comes to me and she's like, wow, man, she's just really into me and she's just giving me all this attention. Right? So he's going to go to the VIP room with her. And so he goes into this room with her. And we're all just...
Did you take his credit card before he walked in there?
Oh, no, he went in there. He went in there by himself. Actually, I don't even know. Maybe he did. I'm not really sure. Maybe they already had his credit card. I honestly don't know. The story is just kind of sad because he goes in there. And I don't know, it was like maybe 20 minutes later, and we're out by the stage. They got just the dancers coming out. There's these strippers that are sitting in our laps or my friends' laps or whatever. And he comes running out, and he's bleeding on the side of his face. And he's just like, fuck. And he's kind of like screaming. Again, it's a strip club, so it's loud. So we can kind of hear him because he's near where we're sitting. And we look back, and I can see him. He's bleeding. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the hell? And he's all, fucking stripper bit me. And he had like legit like wounds in his cheek, teeth marks in his cheek, and there was blood coming out. And like, what the fuck? And he's like, I don't know what's going on. She was like, and she comes out and she was on drugs. So, I mean, anybody with half a brain would have seen that she's fucked up.
Right.
And so she didn't do anything on purpose. She wasn't trying to hurt him, but apparently things got out of hand. She bit him and broke skin. So he's pissed off. Bouncers come over and they kind of accost him because they think like, well, there must have been some kind of attack and, you know, she's defending herself like that.
This is crazy, man.
Right? Oh,
That's
God.
crazy.
So within a matter of minutes, it went from a complete party to chaos in our group, right? And luckily the girl, she didn't do any of this. She didn't say like, oh, you know, oh yeah, he was doing something crazy. She's just like, oh, we were having fun, and I guess I got too aggressive. I didn't mean to do it. And I was just like, wow. And she said that, and my friend Edwin immediately turned around and said, I ain't paying for anything. I want all my money refunded. I want everything that we bought tonight cleared. I want everything free. And again, he's been drinking. We've all been drinking, and the club's like, we ain't gonna do that. And he's all, call the goddamn fucking cops. Your stripper assaulted me. And we're just like, oh shit, like I've never seen Edwin act this way. He totally lights up the fucking management, and he's like, well, let's all calm down, right? Again, because the minute she said that, like, you know,
things got out of hand,
and it was he didn't do anything to me. I just got aggressive, right? And so he was legitimately upset, and I'll tell you why he was legitimately upset. Like, I mean, it was not a play. He didn't do this as like opportunity to get everything for free. That's not what his play was. Mm-hmm. He had a girlfriend at the time, a fiance, and he had now teeth marks on his face that weren't going to heal in time when he's going to have to go home and explain to his girlfriend why he's got these teeth marks in his face. And he was pissed. And so it wasn't a move, like, but he was angry. But I noticed when he came out, he didn't say, he was, you know, we're all messed up. So he may have been, you know, kind of, you know, I'm in a haze. I'm not sure exactly.
The fog of war.
But the minute she said, you know, I'm sorry, it got out of hand. I didn't mean to do that. You know, it's my fault. He's like, I want everything for
And so how did it end?
Oh, they cleared him out.
Wow.
They cleared him out. They didn't clear anybody else out. Like, you know, your buddies are paying for this shit. Like, this is, you want to sue us, you can do that or whatever. They were just like, well, we're not going to clear everybody's bar tabs and everything. No.
That's wild.
That was the first night.
Yeah, that's the first night.
That was the first night of that trip.
We've all lived versions of The Hangover.
Yeah. And luckily for Edwin, when we got back to the hotel room, we cleaned him up a little bit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't so bad.
Get a tetanus shot?
And you know what? No, he did. When he got back into town, he did go to a doctor. Mm-hmm. But it didn't look like teeth marks the next day. It looked like nicks. There's like 2 that were puncture kind of wounds. Mm-hmm. And so I think he just told his fiance something, and it wasn't a big deal. Was able to bypass it. And for Edwin, the ending of the story for Edwin, he never even married that chick. He dumped her.
Ooh, I did not see this coming.
And found another girl, married her, and they just had a baby on Thanksgiving.
Wow.
His first kid.
The saga of Edwin continues.
And Edwin is now, you know, no longer hanging out with crazy strippers and getting bit in the face.
That's one of the best stories. And it's like such chaos. And like I use that phrase, the fog of war. I can totally see exactly all of that mapped out in my head. And the bouncers rushing in and some crazy lady coming out through the beaded curtains and all of that stuff.
Good times. Excellent. Good times.
Vegas. Yeah. Now, thank goodness we're older, wiser, and more responsible. Sort of.
Generally.
Allegedly.
I have an important announcement for you, so stay tuned.
Yo, that's some next level shit, bruh.
So you got me. Big deal.
The internet's answer to a question no one asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
Folks, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I am Sean Landon Clark.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
And I think we're going to be booking our flights to Vegas tonight.
Oh, I think so. NetJets.
NetJets.
I won $50 on a scratcher, so I think that'll get us partway there.
Well, I think these beers will get us partway there.
Hey.
Peace.
Peace.